SMT Nation, we back nation. I've done a complete day of testing on the new, I don't know, should we call it upgraded or downgraded Verizon 5G Ultrawideband network. They just sent the update over air to the Samsung radio gear in my market, and we now have 140 megahertz of bandwidth on the N77. Two channels, one being 100 megahertz, the other being 40 megahertz. Now we're kind of getting closer to, I guess, like the pinnacle Verizon network. Still got to go SA. There's still some aggregation things they could do. But this, in the NSA form, is basically what Verizon is capable of doing at this point in time. All right, so I'm going to describe all my testing, the conditions, the performance, and then I'm going to give you guys my takeaway. And of course, at any point in the video, you give me yours. And then share your experiences with your testing on Verizon as well. All right, so yeah, Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband, C-band, let's do this. Just so you guys know, all this will be posted on my Twitter account, my X account. If you guys want to get involved with the community on that level, my handle is in the description. All right, so the first test you see is from a cell site where I was in the car about a quarter mile away. So we'll call this an outdoor test, right? Quarter mile. The performance with respect to the throughput, quarter mile getting 1 gigabit per second on the downlink, 63 megabits on the uplink. I was, direct line of sight. Maybe actually, maybe a little bit closer than a quarter mile, maybe like a fifth of a mile away. And that possibly may have impacted uplink, maybe, I don't know. But I made sure to test during a peak time. So 2:26 in the PM on a Sunday afternoon. And there's the site for you guys so you could see I was pretty close. It's a pretty tall site. It booms a little bit. And this one is good. It's good performer. You're getting gigabit speed here during peak times. Guys, I have to tell you, that's pretty damn impressive. We have folks with Verizon 5G Home Internet. We got mobile users in a market where Verizon has incredible share. So this is impressive. That's good speed for peak. Or in the middle of the day. All right, so that's pretty good stuff. Here's a close-up. You guys can see the gear. There's all your like AWS or lower frequencies in these two antennas. There's your CBRS band 48 LTE antenna, the tiny one in the middle, and then to the left of that here, that's your C-band. That's your 3700 frequency. All right, and the reason you could tell the difference, it's a little bit bigger than the CBRS. Okay, so that was the first site I tested. I thought, you know what? Let me test the neighboring cell. So that's what I did. Went to the neighboring cell, kind of set myself up in the same position. 833 megabits per second down, 101 megabits per second up. Again, I was about a quarter mile away, maybe a fifth of a mile away. Same kind of setup. I wanted to be direct line of sight, and I wanted to have like no obstructions because I wanted to see during this time, what type of performance we were seeing. Because I have tested the Verizon network on these sites at these same times before on the 100 megahertz channel alone. So not the 100 plus the 40, just the 100. And the throughput's definitely increased. It is pretty substantial. Okay, so we peaked over 100 megabits on this test. And there's the site for you guys will see Dish at the bottom. But same kind of setup, right? I'm direct line of sight. There you have it, the CBRS, the C-band, and then all the other stuff there to the right. All right, and I tested a third. This is the neighboring cell, just site after site after site. And I tested like 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 sites on this day. And this is very consistent to what I was seeing at like 2, 3 in the afternoon. 879 down, 78 up. All right, and the latencies and stuff, you guys will see those there. They're fine. They're in the 20s. There's the site. You see AT&T with their DoD and C-band up there at the top. Verizon there at the kind of like the bottom, I suppose. And here's a close-up view. You'll see the CBRS on the right of the C-band to the left. And that's what I got for you guys here, folks. So something I also want to share with you, and I'm going to make videos on this. All this testing was done at a quarter mile. When I tested these same... the same cell sites from distance, I got different results, right? So when I was testing at a half a mile, I was getting 670 down. Quarter mile, I was getting 800 to a gig, right? Uplink from a quarter mile, I was getting between like 60, 80, 100 megabits. At a half mile, I was getting like 35 to 40 megabits. Right? From 3/4 mile, I saw a huge drop off. At edge cell, seeing a huge drop off. The connection seems to be a little bit less effective, less throughput on the edge. I'm going to explain that in a second, but with respect to the downlinks at a half mile, 600, 700, like 670 was my max, 550, 560. At 3/4 mile, I'm getting like 315 down, right? And then edge cell was like right at about a mile. Edge cell actually, and that's something I want to talk about, the range of the N77 is unchanged. Like from what I could tell, folks, the tower grid here is pretty tight. You got a macro like every mile. So that wasn't the trouble. I was connecting to N77 in all the same places. Where I found the difference was the uplink at any type of range. Once you get beyond like a half a mile, the uplink loss is substantial. And that's because they have split power to both those N77 channels. Before it was just the 100 megahertz channel, got full power from the radio. Now you're splitting it for the two channels, and it's manifesting itself in the throughput on the uplink. Like I said, the downlink improved. The downlink's gotten better, but that loss in uplink aggravates me because I really like uplink and I find it to be very important. And, I noticed it especially on my home site. You guys saw my video. It was a pretty steep drop off. I used to get, 40, 50 megabits from a mile away indoors in my house, and now I'm getting like, 15, 20, that sort of thing. So while it's not bad, it's not what it was before. So in that way, it has degraded. So I have to be straight up about this, right? The edge cell throughput is decreased now. The edge cell distance is the same, right? So those two things are true. The peak throughput is way up, right? We are seeing much more speed. We're seeing, throughputs improve by like 50%, 40%. The peak, at these times, where Verizon is now getting gigabit speed, they were getting like 700-800 before, right? So that additional, 20-30% improvement is tangible. I mean, I tested this at a peak time, guys. I was not testing early in the morning. I'm assuming that with the load, off of the network and no home internet users and no mobile traffic, I mean, we might be talking about 1.5 gigs down. Who knows? Maybe 1.7 gigs down. I guess if I'm ever up early enough, 4 a.m. or something, I can test it. So that's one thing I could say. There is throughput improvements. There is a throughput increase for sure. When you're close, you do see a little bit of uplink degradation and loss in throughput from distance, right? So those things are true. But, you're definitely going to see Verizon monetize this. They're going to be putting more users on the network for home internet. They don't really grow in the traditional sense for mobile customers, but the mobile customers using more data than ever. And now you got fixed wireless, and fixed wireless takes here. You could literally drive around and see on your phone all the Verizon 5G home internet routers, gateways, right? Broadcasting signals. So that's my first day of testing. I'll continue to test, but guys, I tested site after site after site after site, and they were all basically the same, right? From the same, half mile, 3/4 mile, I was seeing the same thing, very consistent. But I will test at different times, and I will test, different days, and we'll continue to monitor the network. But it looks like Verizon is showing some really, really good throughput when you're near the cell. A little bit of distance from the cell, you lose a little bit of uplink because of that power reduction. But the download throughput, it's pretty impressive stuff. Very fast network. So there you have it. You guys' thoughts and opinions on the testing and the speeds I was discussing. You guys can expect me to produce some videos on this soon, so stay tuned, subscribe for more, and comment, share your experiences with me and how it's been for you. Again, this testing kind of like in suburban residential, not urban or anything like that. That's probably going to be another video for another time, and probably some live streaming coming up, guys, where I'm going to be testing the networks live. So stay tuned for more content. See you guys on the next video. Peace.